I tried to dodge my ex, and ended up on a dog's lunch menu instead. Ah, Valentine's Day. That magical time of the year when happy couples flood social media with cheesy captions like "My Forever Valentine too," and single people like me either pretend to be unbothered or slowly crumble inside while aggressively scrolling past said posts. It's not that I'm bitter. Okay, maybe a little. But in my defense, Valentine's Day has a way of making even the strongest solo flyers feel like background characters in a rom-com where everyone else gets a happy ending except us. Normally, I'd celebrate the occasion in true single-person style, ordering way too much takeout, putting on a self-love matters playlist, and binge-watching a TV show where at least one couple is as miserable as I am. But this year I decided to be different. I chose productivity. You see, when you're single on Valentine's Day, you only have two choices: drown in self-pity and overanalyze your life choices. Do something so noble and selfless that you can look down on all the happy couples and think, well, at least I'm a good person. Obviously, I went with option 2. So, I signed up for volunteer work. Not because I'm a saint, but because I figured if I spent the day helping people, I wouldn't have time to think about the fact that no one was helping me pick out overpriced chocolates and stuffed animals. Enter the noble deeds and regrets. My day started off with high expectations. I envisioned myself as some kind of Valentine's Day superhero swooping in to make people's lives better, single-handedly proving that love isn't just about romance. I'd be so busy making the world a better place that I wouldn't even have time to care about couples whispering sweet nothings into each other's ears. Reality? Yeah, reality had other plans. The first task assigned to me was delivering meals to the elderly. Sounds heartwarming, right? It would have been, if half the old folks didn't spend the entire time grilling me about my non-existent love life. Such a nice young person like you, still single? Unbelievable. You should meet my grandson, he's a doctor. I smiled politely while resisting the urge to say, "Ma'am, your grandson could be the CEO of love itself, and I still wouldn't be emotionally available right now." But I endured. Because, again, good person. Next up, sorting donations at a community center. This was supposed to be an easy, no emotions required task, but nope. Every item I picked up felt like a personal attack. A wedding dress. Cool. Love that for whoever donated it. A box full of scented candles labeled for romantic nights in. Thanks. I'll take the for lonely people crying in the shower section instead. A teddy bear holding a heart that literally said "You're my one and only." Ma'am, why? By the time my volunteer shift was wrapping up, I had just started to feel a sense of peace. You did a good thing today. You're strong. You're unbothered. You survived Valentine's Day without a single emotional breakdown. That lasted exactly 5 minutes. Because just as I was preparing to head home, crawl into bed, and bask in my self-righteous singlehood, someone called out, "Hey, can you do one last favor before you go?" And that, my friends, is the moment my fate was sealed. So there I was, having just completed my noble deeds for the day, mentally patting myself on the back. I was exhausted, but in a wow, I'm such a good person way. The plan was simple. Go home, collapse into bed, and wake up tomorrow feeling morally superior to the love-struck couples wasting money on overpriced heart-shaped nonsense. But no. Life had other plans. As I was about to leave, someone from the volunteer group hit me with the dreaded words, "Hey, since you're already here, could you do one last thing?" Now, the smart response would have been, "Oh, I'd love to, but I have an important meeting with my bed." Did I say that? Nope. Like an absolute fool, I agreed. Sure, what do you need? And that's how I ended up delivering a package to a nearby office. It was supposed to be quick, just a 5-minute detour before heading home. But since fate had clearly decided that today was my personal horror movie, my route conveniently passed through the most popular street in town. You know the type. Every city has one. The kind of street where people go to hang out, but really just loiter with purpose. It's lined with cute little cafes, overpriced ice cream stands, and those unnecessary street musicians who insist on making eye contact while playing. The kind of place that exists purely to remind single people that they are, in fact, very single. Normally, I love this street. It's my go-to spot when I need a change of scenery from staring at my bedroom walls. But today? Bad idea. Because as I walked through, watching couples take unnecessary selfies and whisper unnecessary sweet nothings, I suddenly had the horrible realization that this is a bad place to be alone on Valentine's Day. And just as I was about to speed walk my way out of there, I saw him. My ex. With his new date. Holding hands. Looking disgustingly adorable. I froze mid-step, my stomach doing that dramatic movie drop thing. My brain immediately started short-circuiting, throwing out possible explanations. Maybe I'm hallucinating from exhaustion. Maybe that's his long-lost twin. Maybe I've actually died, and this is the part where the afterlife punishes me for past sins. But no. It was him. In the exact spot where I had once, like an idiot, hyped up this place to him. Flashback to my past mistake at some point in our relationship. I had told him, "Oh, you have to check out this street. It's so cozy and the little cafes are amazing." Back then, I thought I was being cute, introducing him to my favorite places. You know, sharing experiences and all that romantic nonsense. But now I was experiencing the betrayal of the century. I mean, who does that? Who takes their new date to a place their ex recommended? Have some originality, sir. Explore new territory. I should have walked away. I should have acted like a normal, emotionally stable adult and left. Instead, my brain panicked and went into full-blown avoid-at-all-costs mode. The escape plan that wasn't first, I considered the classic turnaround and walk the other way strategy. But the problem was I had already made eye contact with him for a split second, so turning around now would look way too obvious. Next idea? Dramatic phone call. I could whip out my phone, pretend to get a very important call, and rush off like I had somewhere to be. But considering my phone was at 2% battery and on life support, that wasn't going to work either. Then blending into the crowd crossed my mind. Just casually merge with a group of people and disappear like a background extra. But unfortunately, every group around me was either a couple or a friend squad taking selfies, and something about third-wheeling strangers didn't seem like a solid strategy. That's when I saw it. A random dog sitting nearby, just chilling. The brilliant, yet horrible idea my panic brain went, perfect. If I just crouch down and start petting this dog, I can pretend I never saw my ex. He'll think I'm just some person absorbed in bonding with a cute animal. Crisis averted. Now, let's be clear, I love dogs. I fully believed that this random, fluffy stranger would be my emotional support system in this moment of distress. But what I failed to consider was whether the dog actually wanted to participate in my escape plan. So there I was, crouching next to a random dog, fully convinced that this was my best shot at avoiding the most awkward encounter of my life. Now, in my head, this plan was flawless. I would sit there, gently petting the dog, looking like the picture of innocence and tranquility. My ex would walk right past me, completely unaware of my existence, and I could leave this place with my dignity mostly intact. Unfortunately, I overlooked one tiny detail. The dog did not sign up for this. The warning signs I ignored at first glance. This dog seemed chill. Just a medium-sized mutt, lounging lazily by a bench like he had all the time in the world. No collar, no visible owner nearby, just vibing. I approached carefully, extending my hand in the universal I come in peace gesture. "Hey, buddy," I murmured, my voice soft and soothing. "You're a good boy, aren't you?" The dog, in response, barely moved. No tail wag, no eager sniffing, just pure unamused energy. It was as if I had interrupted his deep meditation on life. Now, any normal person would have taken the hint and backed off. But I was desperate. I needed this dog to be my distraction, my camouflage, my lifeline in this moment of crisis. So I tried again, this time slowly lowering my hand to pet him. Big mistake. The bite heard around the world before I could even process what was happening. The dog chomped down on my hand. Not a gentle, playful nibble. Not a "hey, I don't know you like that" warning snap. A full-on, "you have disrespected my personal space and now you must suffer" kind of bite. I yelped loudly, like embarrassingly loud. People turned. Conversation stopped. Somewhere in the distance, a violinist playing a romantic tune paused mid-note to see what the heck had just happened. And because life is never kind in these situations, guess who else turned to look? My ex. With his date. The exact opposite of the smooth, undetectable escape I had planned. The aftermath, a comedy of errors. Now, you'd think my top priority at that moment would be my actual injury. But no. My brain decided that my greatest concern was the public humiliation factor, which meant I had to pretend somehow that I was totally fine. So, as the dog trotted away like he had somewhere better to be, I just stood there, frozen, holding my throbbing hand while my brain scrambled to come up with a way to act normal. Random stranger #1 rushing over. "Oh my god, are you okay?" That looked bad. Me, in full-blown nothing to see here mode. "Ha. Yeah, no worries. Just a little misunderstanding between me and my friend here." Random stranger #2, looking horrified. "Did that dog just bite you?" Me, visibly bleeding. "Oh no? I mean, technically, yes. But like, in a friendly way." Spoiler, it was not in a friendly way. Meanwhile, my ex, who was still standing right there, nudged his date, pointed at me, and whispered something to her. Now, was it probably something neutral, like, "Oh, look, that's my ex," or "Wow, that dog really went for it"? Sure. Did my overthinking brain immediately assume he was saying something like "LOL, remember when we dated"? Dodged a bullet there. Also yes. The worst text of all time eventually, after awkwardly accepting tissues from a kind old lady, and ensuring I wasn't going to immediately pass out from blood loss, I escaped. But the horror did not end there. Because later that night, as I was nursing my hand and mentally replaying my most embarrassing moments of the day, there were many, I got a text. From him. My ex. Him. I stared at my phone, heart pounding. Maybe he was checking on me? Maybe he felt bad? Maybe this was some kind of redemption arc? I opened the message. It said, "Hey, saw what happened. You okay? That was kinda funny. Kinda funny. Sir, I am out here bleeding both physically and emotionally, and you think this is a comedy special?" I stared at my phone in disbelief for a solid minute before replying with the most passive-aggressive text I could manage. Haha. Yeah. So funny. Then I blocked his number. You'd think the worst part of my Valentine's Day was the public dog attack or the humiliating ex encounter, right? Wrong. Because while emotional pain fades eventually, physical wounds come with consequences. The medical adventure nobody asked for after the incident, my main coping mechanism was pretending it didn't happen. You know, the classic "if I ignore it, it will go away" approach. Unfortunately, biology doesn't work like that. By the next morning, my hand was still throbbing, and the tiny voice of reason in my head, which I usually ignore, was whispering, "Hey, what if that dog had rabies?" Cue immediate panic spiral. I turned to Google, which is the absolute worst decision you can make when you suspect a medical issue. Because according to the internet, I had approximately 0.2 seconds left to live before rabies turned me into a foaming-at-the-mouth zombie. So, like a responsible, but very reluctant adult, I dragged myself to the doctor. The rabies shot saga. Now, if you've never had to get a rabies shot before, let me enlighten you. It's not just one shot. It's a series of shots over multiple weeks. It's painful and insultingly expensive. So there I was, sitting in the clinic, regretting every decision I had ever made that led me to this moment. The nurse came in, took one look at my file, and said in the most casual voice, "Oh, dog bite, huh? You're in for a fun couple of weeks." Ma'am, I was not in the mood for sarcasm. The first shot went directly into the bite wound on my hand. And let me tell you, it hurt. Like, tears in my eyes, contemplating my life choices kind of hurt. The second shot went into my arm. Less painful, but by that point, I was already spiritually deceased. And just when I thought my suffering was over, the nurse smiled and said, "Okay, you'll need to come back for 3 more rounds." Excuse me? A week of regret and suffering for the next few days. My hand was swollen, my arm was sore, and my pride was shattered. Meanwhile, my friends, being the compassionate and understanding people they are, absolutely roasted me. Friend #1, you tried to use a stray dog as an invisibility cloak and got punished. That's on you. Friend #2, you really got humbled by a dog on Valentine's Day, huh? Friend #3, this is why you don't introduce your favorite places to your ex. Or your favorite dogs, apparently. Not to mention, every time I scrolled through my phone, I had to see people posting their cute couple photos, while I was over here scheduling my next round of rabies shots. Love is in the air? More like pain is in the air. The final rabies shot and a full circle moment. Fast forward a few weeks, and I was finally getting my last painful shot. By that point, I had accepted my fate. I was no longer just the person who got dumped before Valentine's Day. I was now the person who got bitten by a dog while avoiding their ex. The nurse, seeing my chart, actually chuckled and said, "So, you survived the attack, huh?" "Ma'am." I nodded solemnly and said, "Barely." Final thoughts and life lessons that I probably won't follow: never introduce your favorite places to your ex. Because one day, they'll show up there with someone new and ruin it forever. Never use a random dog as a social anxiety escape plan. They may not be on board with your personal struggles. If you ever see your ex on Valentine's Day, just run. Don't strategize. Don't think. Just run. If you get bitten by an animal, do not Google it. Unless you want to spiral into a self-diagnosed near-death experience. If your ex texts you saying that was kind of funny, block them immediately. And finally, if love is in the air, make sure rabies isn't. So that was my Valentine's Day. Heartbreak, public humiliation, and a series of rabies shots. Would I do anything differently if I could go back? Honestly, I'd still pet the dog. I'd just do it more carefully.